Welcome back to another episode of Reel Chums, where chatting about movies feels like hanging out with friends. I'm your host, Marcel, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Danny.
This week, we are discussing The Penguin, starring Colin Farrell, Christine Milioti, Deidre O'Connell, and many more.
In this episode, we discuss why this comic book villain series trumps all others, our hopes for the future in the Batman franchise, and why Lauren LaFranc, the showrunner, deserves all of the awards. But before we roll the intro, make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcast and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode.
Join in on the conversation by following us on YouTube at Reel Chums and all other socials. With that being said,
let's roll that intro.
well,
Look, we're back. Barely.
We're in your kitchen.
We're in my kitchen tonight. Listeners, it's been, thank you for being here. We appreciate you still, chugging along with us. It's been a rough couple of weeks. We've just been busy with
so much
life, family, work.
Yep.
All of the above.
We knew that this time frame was going to be hard, so we normally try to finish out these last couple weeks. This weekend was supposed to be our last. This episode that you're watching right now was supposed to be our last episode. We are going to do one additional episode next week, and then we'll go on our summer hiatus. We will have a holiday episode.
Winter hiatus?
Yeah, winter hiatus. What did I call it?
You called it a summer.
Yeah.
For our listeners in Australia, summer hiatus. Yes, exactly.
That's right. Shout out to you. You know who you are. In any case, our winter hiatus, and we will have probably a special episode. We still will also do some YouTube videos.
Yeah.
So please subscribe to us at there, and as we release new trailer reactions and hopefully some new formatted content that we're excited to do. And subscribe to us on our newsletter. Link in the description, because that's when we'll be doing a little bit more stuff there into the new year. But we're excited for all the cool, good, we're so grateful for you guys.
Yeah. And again, please follow us on all the socials, because we like to kick off the beginning of the year with our best and worst of the year episode.
Yes.
And we want to hear from you. We do a survey where you tell us what was good, what was bad, what was fun, what wasn't. And then we just read it out loud in our first episode. So
correct.
Yeah, we'll be posting that closer to the end of December. That way, for our first episode in January,
and which is about mid January.
Yeah.
Yep. And last thing is that we're super close to hitting 500 subs, and we would love if you have one friend. It's I think it's 7 subs before we can get 500 subscribers.
I think we're at 4.
Yeah, 4. So if you have 4 friends, if 4 of you will share it to one friend, that'd be great.
On YouTube.
On YouTube specifically, yeah. And the reason why we want to do this, because we'd love to open up memberships, or at least some content there that could be more exclusive. That hopefully we can dedicate some energy there. There's a couple other things that get unlocked, but I think it would be really great and a lot of fun.
Yeah. And let us know. We're getting ready for season 3. Season 3, that's wild.
I know, right?
Yeah. And so if there's genres, specific movies, anything you want us to really dig into, comment, let us know, and we'll definitely add it to the docket.
Absolutely. We are unfortunately we are deviating from our initial. We were supposed to finish out. We were supposed to do Chicago today. We were supposed to do it 2 weeks ago, and then we were going to finish out some other show just leading up to Wicked, which we have yet to see, but we will watch it and give our thoughts here shortly. But in any case, we are going to be discussing The Penguin today.
Dude, The Penguin, man. This movie.
Okay.
This show was great.
I actually do have a question.
Oh, please do. Go.
When they announced that they were going to be doing a series for The Penguin, what was your initial feelings?
I was excited for it, just mainly because Colin Farrell was so good in the 8-10 minutes that he was in The Batman that I was just excited to see more of him as that character.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that was exciting. For me, it was more okay, what does this entail? What's it going to be? Is Batman going to be in it?
Yeah.
And so those were my initial impressions at first. I think over the production time or the pre-production as well, as they started saying it's just it's his rise to power or whatnot, and I was okay, cool, we'll see how that gets fleshed out. But no, I was excited because I love the Batman.
I know. I actually rewatched it, and I was like, dude, this is so good.
Well, yeah. Well, tell me your feelings on your
Penguin.
question on the Penguin.
Okay, so here, when I was similar with you, I think my biggest thing was that like I actually toned my excitement down for two reasons. One, I think we've discussed it on the pod before. I have a bit of a mixed feeling on. We both have a mixed feeling on the idea of studios trying to make series or movies, Sony, on villains from comic book stories that they try to play them off as these anti-heroes rather than full villains. So I was a little like hesitant on that. I'm like, a whole story on the Penguin, don't get me wrong. Colin Farrell, I was really pumped for.
Yeah.
Like you. I loved him in The Batman. I thought he portrayed, I was like, oh, this is really interesting. And honestly, and then the other thing is like, we have the new, or the reboot James Gunn DC.
Yeah.
It was going to be Elseworld, which means that it was going to be outside of the regular canon, which meant that like, it probably wasn't, they were going to do what they can, but like, how much love were they actually going to get? Right. So I was really hesitant on my overall feelings after I got like my initial excitement, like, oh, it's going to be sweet. And I was pleasantly surprised with this series.
There's something, I think you said it perfectly. I think a lot of these studios, especially as they're trying to fill content in their streaming services, they're struggling a lot with, one, how do you tell these stories that are engaging to get subscribers and keep subscribers? And two, especially as you said with villain stories, they're so focused on like giving them these redeemable qualities and attributes, and it's like, we're not going to lean in too much into the villain aspect of it all. They're an anti-hero, right? And I think this show does it beautifully. It's interesting, and I think I might be going, first of all, listeners, full spoilers ahead.
Yeah. I was about to say, look, here, if you have not watched The Penguin and you are not for spoilers, stop right now. Don't watch this episode. Come back to this episode once you watched it. Go watch one of our other episodes.
Yeah.
I highly recommend you should watch The Ugly Truth because it's a terrible time of our discussing of that movie. Alternatively, if you haven't watched our first episode, go check that out. And you got another episode you'd like to recommend?
I love any of our Halloween episodes.
Our Halloween episodes are really great.
Like, go check out the month of October. Yeah. There's some fun stuff there.
Yeah. So, but if you are okay with spoilers, come along. Come with us. And if you watch the show, please comment as we discuss some of these things. Give us your thoughts.
But
thanks for listening to Reel Chums. Before we jump into the full discussion of this episode, we wanted to invite you to join our email list where twice a month we share what we've been watching, our TV and movie recommendations, and commentary on the biggest headlines in the movie industry directly to your inbox.
This is just the start of what we have planned for our content. And by subscribing, you're getting the best seats in the house for what's to come. So head over to realchums.com/newsletter to sign up today.
Now back to the show.
But I want to, and I'm going to, full warning, I might be going back and forth between this and Agatha.
Okay. So I have not fully finished Agatha, but I'm okay with that.
Okay,
and you can do spoilers. It's fine.
Mainly because they're two comic book characters. They're villains.
Yes, 100%. I think it's a great place to like do some comparisons because
they were releasing at the same time, basically. Yep. But what? Lauren, is it Lauren, the showrunner?
Yeah,
Lauren
LeFranc, right? Which, by the way, hands down, gets full credit for this.
Gets full credit.
I know that like Matt Reeves was like kind of like touted as like the showrunner. No.
Lauren LeFranc owned this, executed on it. She's the one that pitched the storyline, the episodes. Like, full credit to her.
She does not get enough credit.
No,
I think they're kind of like backtracking a little bit, trying to give her some more love. But like, she truly freaking slayed. Whole crew, every episode, every cinematographer that came in, her post production team, the whole department just really like rallied, and she understood Matt Reeves' vision, and was able to take that and drive this story home.
This is what we need, especially when it comes to these comic book properties. Okay. I know there's a lot of conversation in Hollywood about our comic book stories now, the Westerns, right? Like they're slowly dying off. Are people not interested in these anymore? And if you just make something good, it's gonna resonate. Like I know it's easier said than done, but here's someone who understood the vision that Matt Reeves laid out during the Batman. And when he said, I want to build out more of this world, the crime aspect of Gotham, and we're going to do a show about Penguin, and for her to come in and say, here's my pitch, or here's how I want to take this. And she understood what the Batman was doing. She understood what she needed to do with the Penguin, and then she went and flawlessly built out this world and just completely solidified this Gotham into where we're going now in the future.
Yeah,
I just think, and let's start off with like the characters. Like,
sorry,
go ahead.
You're trying to compare it. What was the thing you wanted to compare it to Agatha?
We'll talk more about it, but like straight off, like you have our main characters. In this case, Oz Cobb, and then with Agatha, right? Something that was really interesting with WandaVision was that, it was Agatha all along, and they showed how she killed her coven, right? In some flashback scene, and like she seemed just so wicked and irredeemable. Whereas here, oh man, I'm gonna spoil it for you.
Okay.
They give us more of her backstory, and like she had a kid.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, some deal that she made with death, the kid was taken away from her, and so then now she has been spending all this time just creating her own covens, just to kill the witches and takes all their powers away.
Yeah.
And so, like, yes, it's true. She is a witch killer. Okay.
Yeah.
But she's doing it, because she's a broken character. She is in pain. She's hurting for the loss of her child, etc. And that's fine.
Yeah.
But not here with the Penguin.
No, the Penguin. This is the thing, and that I think I just truly appreciate it.
Yeah.
The Penguin. We get this initial from the first episode. He takes on Victor. Okay,
I'm already crying.
I know
with Victor,
who becomes this sort of this is us, right? It's us being taken under Cobblepot's wing. Vic is born into this world of crime after losing his family due to the events of the Batman. Vic sees something in him that he's notices from himself, kind of takes him on his wing. At the end of the episode, at the end of the final episode of this series, a whole bunch of stuff happened. We'll talk a little bit more about, but ultimately, Oz realizes that he can't have anyone that he cares about.
Yeah,
that he finds that is there, that have supported him, is there because he has actually reached the point that he wants to be at. That he has the power. He is the Penguin now, which I actually like have been ruminating on the fact that he wasn't the Penguin yet. He is the Penguin now, and he freaking kills Vic.
Yeah,
and I did not see that coming.
It was such a and kudos on the script and the performances, but it was uncomfortable.
It was
and disturbing.
It was
right?
absolutely uncomfortable. It was disturbing. You're like, I am so glad that I hate this person.
Yeah. And that's what's so great about the character of Oz in this case. We see him in the first episode. He shoots the Falcone kid, right, who's going to take over the family business, just impulsively. We are then introduced to the mom. He's just kind of and at first I'm like, okay, it's not that you ever like him.
No,
you see that he's charming. He can be charming to other people, right?
I wouldn't say charming. I would say he seems he's like a cockroach, right?
He cares. He cares very much about. He tells a story of the one gangster that he grew up in.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And how
everyone loved him.
Everyone loved him.
Yeah.
Right? From his point of view. Everyone loved him. And that's what he wants. Like, he even gives an extra couple Benjamins to the guy that's renting out to his mom, right?
Yeah.
Like, he has his mom in a hideaway place, right? Like, they almost portray him to be like someone that's caring, but later, like, he just makes decisions. He continues to backstab, like, other people, and keeps digging a hole for himself. Somehow, through more hole digging, gets out of it, and just the sleazy human being. And then for a point there, I'm like, okay, like, at least he's got Vic.
I know.
And when he decides to just, like, say, you can't come with me anymore, this is it for you, and just so uncomfortably, like, takes him out, that's when you're just like, dude, I hate this guy. But even more so, and we'll talk about his mom's character, just that dynamic he has with her, right? At the very end, when he has her in that room and the tears coming out, and you're just like, dude, let her go.
Yeah.
She didn't want to be in this state.
Yeah.
And he is nothing more than a selfish, uncaring human being.
Yeah.
And that's what I want from these villains, right? I don't want you to tell me that Venom, that Eddie Brock is misunderstood, and he had his heart broken by the girl, and I don't need that.
I don't need you to tell me that Agatha Long deserves to kill Covens because she's troubled in her mind.
Yeah, And because of the flashbacks that we see in the dynamics and relationships that he had with his siblings and that he wants with his mom, like, this guy is he's just horrible.
Yeah, look, I mean, comics have always portrayed, Oswald as, with his mom, having this weird relationship with her. Kind of like, what's the Psycho?
The Bates?
The Bates,
yeah.
Right? This weird relationship, right? Mm-hmm. And I just truly appreciate that his mom the story, is that Cobb, he wanted his mom for himself. He's, like you said, he's selfish to the core.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, he felt like he had to share. And he goes out playing with his brothers who just want to take care of him, want to watch out for him. And he locks him in the sewer because he snaps, right? He has this moment that he felt like he was being bullied because of his ailment. Well, we don't know, whatever that may be. Do we know? Disability, whatever.
Yeah, his feet.
Yeah, and so he locks him in there, and the storm comes in and kills him, and he goes home and, lives there, and his mom understands that comes to the understanding that he did it, and is struggling, and the mob guy comes in and is like, look, there are two things you can do with this person. One, basically shut him, blah, 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 or you can take them and help them,
channel this behavior into something productive.
And, for you and your family, right?
Yeah.
Now, I think that she, to a degree, battles, she had to battle it, but and go from there. And that's why she pushed him and he wanted to appease. But at the end of the day, when in her, final, when she's getting the mental, the senile, the old growing old hits you, she hates him for what he did.
Yeah.
And she's just been trying to masquerade that that everything's okay. And to me, that is just the realization, not only on with Diganti, or what's her name? Sophia, with Cobb's mom and Oswald, all in the scene where they're doing their dancing and having that reveal for all three of them, that moment of realization of what was happening, how much Oz was never going to. He was never going to admit to anything.
He was never going to admit
to it. And he's never going to admit to anything ever in his entire life. He would rather kill somebody or let somebody die.
Yeah. Let someone get hurt before he reveals anything.
Yeah.
And I think that scene when right there at the club and and Sophia's about to like cut off the mom's finger, and she's like, "Just tell him, I know you did it." And he's like, "No, I didn't do anything."
Yeah.
Like I'm just like, dude.
Yeah.
And this is like just really great writing, because you've spent 6-7 episodes trying to show us that he cares for his mom, right?
And that he has some kind of like desire to want to show that he cares about the people he's with, that that who support him,
and that he's doing all this, right? There was that moment in, I think, in the first episode where she's telling him like, "No, this is your time for you to finally like get what you deserve and like what's owed to you," right? And so like we spend 6-7 episodes of thinking like, okay, like, yeah, he's horrible, but at least once he becomes rich, he's gonna buy his mom something beautiful, like a beautiful home or whatever, right? No, that's not it. Like he is cruel to the core and just rotten to the point that he's okay with his mom, who he supposedly loves and is doing all of this for, take the fall before he admits anything.
Yeah.
And I just, it's this level of characterization that makes a great villain. And I don't need you to make me care about Loki, or no, Loki's great and all, right? Eventually. But like someone that is just a villain and you fleshed out why they're just rotten to the core.
I think what LaFranc, what she does for this story as a showrunner and for what she saw the vision as is that we need to have a reset, and we need to have we need to be given something for us to care, or to, some kind of emotional connection, right? Which is what all these other filmmakers are doing. The problem is they leave it to that. They want everything to be too good.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
They leave this to this like, oh, like, I think part of it is like when you look at Venom, right? The Venom of all, he's pure revenge.
Yeah.
Right? He not even revenge. He's obsessed. I guess like a revenge for, with Parker, but also with Spider-Man, and like this idea that he should be the Spider-Man, right? And this obsession of tracking that down and going after that, right? And we get a weird, quirky Eddie Brock, like you said, that just like is stumbling through life and is a sad mope, and then his buddy Venom also just wants to be welcomed, and so they have this weird relationship on screen. Is it fun for people to watch? I guess.
Sure. Yeah, whatever. But
when you're trying to tell a story, I think what it comes down to is, for this series, I just was reminded that if you're going to tell a story, you should understand why this character, who is this character? This is. What can we do in order for us to bring the audience along to be connected? And then how can we subvert expectations to remind, or do, what action can we then elicit to remind us of who these individuals are? I think another show that does really this is The Fall of House Usher.
Oh, okay. On Netflix, right?
Yeah, Netflix. It's a series about this cutthroat business family that basically has this like some weird curse that like everyone dies in the family.
It's a scary show.
It's like a horror suspense sort of thing. Right. It's kind of got this weird mythical, like this dad makes a deal with the devil to be able to to bring whatever, and the devil's coming, the payment's coming due, so all of his children end up being killed, and he's the last one. He's kind of telling this story. And I think part of that, to a degree, is like these individuals are evil, and you get each of their individual stories throughout the series. But at the end of the day, you're still left with the father of like what he's done. And I think it, like, we don't, I mean, obviously it's like a full brand new story. So like there's not like any other real connection, but I think they do a really great perspective on every episode. introducing something that like, okay, why this person this way, and then showing us why they're rotten or like why they've done what they've done or how the impact of that, and the ramification of what their death, is like their death has then happened or, comes to pass, and you're like, you're left, oh my gosh, like whatever. And I just think it's brought with a more compelling overall story.
Yeah. No, you're very right. And again, like kudos to LaFranc for being able to really flesh that out and giving us that emotional connection to push us through, but like keeping the character true to its core as to who he is and why he does what he does, and makes him this evil individual. I want to talk a little bit about, we talked about Vic. I love the character just because I think you said it perfectly. He is who we are, right? Like we're being dragged into this story. And I think you have a character that plays that part as almost as the passenger for us to piggyback on and follow through, right? A lot of times he almost serves as the exposition, right?
Yeah.
He's talking to him to like tell him like why he needs to do why he's doing what he's doing, right? Because he's an outsider, just as we are as viewers coming into this crime world, right? But I think that's very important because you are then able to give that exposition that is required for us to understand what's happening. But it's also you're giving the character, in this case of Vic, that opportunity of growth, right? And we have that one episode that starts with his flashback, right? We see why he's being brought in, like why he's tagging along, like why he's making these decisions for right or for bad, and now you have that character growth. We recently did a movie where I complained where there was one character, I can't remember. I know we talked about it on the podcast. Where there was one character that was just purely there for exposition.
Jersey Boys. Was it Jersey Boys?
I don't think it was Jersey Boys.
No.
It was maybe not recently. It was sometime this year.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
I can't remember what it was. I know it's on the tip. It'll come to me.
But like a lot of times, these movies have a character that functions there just for the exposition, right?
Twister.
It was Twister, the first one. Yes, that's right. What's his face's wife? Or soon to be.
Yeah, his girlfriend.
His girlfriend, right? Who's just asking the questions. Oh, how does this work?
Yeah.
What's this type of tornado, right?
Yeah.
And like it's just exposition.
And she the only growth that she has is that she realizes that she's not loved.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like,
and it wasn't earned.
But I think I love that you brought this up because like Vic really does. Vic comes in. He's us. We're brought in. We're hauled into this story.
Yeah.
We get this sort of sense of like, oh, Cobb, is he misunderstood?
Is he misunderstood? Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So is he misunderstood? And part of and I think they did a phenomenal job in that first episode to be like him almost killing Vic and then bringing him and eating icy pop. That's what do they call it? I think.
Yeah.
The suicide, and him talking about it, and then. I love that we get the flashback. I love that he's got a girl and he wants to be with her, and then he makes the decision to stay with Oz, right? To say, no, I want something more. Which is, I think this is something that like Oz does do.
Yeah,
he wants more of himself, and he is a great person. People follow him because he instills some kind of hope in people,
some confidence,
right? Confident, not hope, confident, very, very, very distinct, right? So some confidence, and I think part of it's because like, oh, if Cobb, he can do it, then I can do it, right? And so you get this sense of like ownership. I love that we see him start to take on more responsibilities. My biggest thing is like him realizing when his old mate, corners him and it's like and he kills him.
Yeah.
He's now marked, and to him, we're like, well.
But it's that scene after where he goes to Cobb, right? And he's clearly visibly shook. And Cobb embraces him. And he says, it gets easier.
Yeah. And then We haven't revealed that he gets killed.
Yeah.
Literally, in the same way that he just embraced him, like he's hugging him, just like.
Do you think Cobb or Oz cared for him?
I think he did.
He did, but it was that moment when he realized that
He-
someone used my mom to get to me because I cared for her. That now I can't have.
And not only that, but he realized that he would never cave. Like he would, even though he cared somebody, he cared for his mom deeply. He wanted her respect.
Yeah.
He wanted to provide her everything. Right? She was his world, because no one else. He felt that he was loved by her, like unlike anybody else, even more than his brothers.
Yeah.
Right, and he wanted that for just himself. But when his mom was being there and Sophia was torturing her, he would never give it up because he himself loved her, even though he was really, at the end of the day, he just was so selfish that he didn't want to break that what he thought his love, right? And so so realizing what that is, then said, nah,
Too much baggage.
too much baggage.
Dude, but what a great decision. As much as I hate it, what a great decision to kill off that character.
No, 100%.
This show would have been very different had he decided to keep him alive and make him over something or whatever. Right?
I would have been mad.
I don't know that I would have been mad because I wasn't thinking he was going to kill him. I think for me, it would have just happened if he kept him alive. I'm like, yeah, of course. Like he's going to keep him as like
his right-hand man.
His right-hand man, right? And we're going to see this character eventually realize like, oh, what did I get myself into over the next movie or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But by making that decision, it's like the nail in the coffin, man. Like, yep, this guy's rotten. This guy's horrible.
No, and I think what is even better is that we get the final reveal. He's literally, he has his mom hooked up in the ICU.
Yeah.
Or not in ICU. He's hooked up in this little bare spot to look out in Gotham as a top dog, giving her everything she ever wanted. Really, all she wanted was her boys back, and she can't do anything about it. And now we see the Cobb that we know, the penguin that we know.
Yeah.
He is the penguin now, right? And I thoroughly just, I'm thinking about the Craven. I'm like, Craven's gonna be trash.
Craven, dude, I forgot that movie was coming out.
Dude, it's gonna be so trash. I think I saw another trailer. And I'm like, oh, this, like, they're gonna he's just got daddy issues. He's trying to he's trying to bring justice to some freaking thing,
To poachers.
blah blah blah, and then he wants to just. I'm like, it's like, okay. Let me ask this before we get to some of the other characters. I know this is the meat and potatoes. And we want to talk about this first because it really is. It's so crucial. I think in today's world that they need to do this, and I just really appreciate it. But my thing is, I wanted to ask, so Maleficent, I think, is one of the first movies that kind of took on, what if we looked at it at a different perspective?
Sure.
Okay. Now, I like Maleficent.
I love it. I think it's a great movie.
What is the difference between Maleficent, the Penguin, and the Sony Mobius and Venom and how does because should we like Maleficent? Do we I know I'm jumping here into a different a different era, but I want to because it's doing, all these are doing the same thing. They're trying to depict quote unquote the villain story.
Yeah.
And I think it's warranted to understand that look, one, it makes for a better story. I'm just gonna say that.
Okay.
Because not better, but it makes for a more engaging,
yeah.
exciting. Because there's a lot more choice to be had.
Sure.
Than a Captain America.
And it's there's something enticing because the average human being isn't a killer out there, right? So it's that peek into that aspect of humanity that's ooh, it's intriguing.
Which I think is another whole. All this comes back to again to not all bad, but Wicked. Also another sort of a different telling of the Wicked Witch of the West.
Yeah.
Right. So, anyways, what is it? What do you think of are Maleficent and Venom in the Sony franchise, villain stories, are they together, or is Maleficent in the middle between Penguin and that? Like, what's your thoughts on this? And I only asked this because I had this discussion with my wife, because I was telling her about the Penguin, how much I thoroughly enjoyed this ending of how much it's the nail in the coffin. The fact that he is the Penguin, he is bad, he will do anything he wants for himself. If it gets in his way, it's out. And that's what you want from when you think of a villain. These guys are top dogs. They do what they want.
I think it's the character arc they're trying to tell, right? It's very clear that Disney approached Maleficent and said, "Look, what if we look at it from a different perspective?" But she's misunderstood, and she is the way that she is because a human cut her wings, right? And so she has this resentment, right? And so therefore let's tell a story about what holding resentment, holding childhood trauma can affect you long term, right? As you grow and mature and whatnot. That's the story of Maleficent. Here, it's just, this is a horrible human being, and we're going to tell his story of how he rose to power and eventually how that's going to impact the Batman and whatnot, right? That's the approach that they're taking. Two different approaches. I don't know what Sony's doing. I think Sony is just we have these characters. If we don't use them, we lose the licensing fee, and no one wants to just see, a killer out killing. So we have to make them, and we have to give them some kind of redeemable qualities, and that's what Sony's doing. Okay, and it's trash. Okay, that's just what it is.
I think I led you into that one. I was a little too leading.
Don't get me started on Sony. But that's the difference, right? But that's great because you, as a writer, you know where you want to take this character.
Yeah.
You know where you want to head to, and now you have to figure out the mechanics of, we want them to get from point A to point C, right? And how does that happen? Whether that's fine, giving them some kind of redeemable qualities and a different point of view, or just sticking to the core element of a horrible human being, right? But that's the beauty of fleshing out a character. I was watching, or this past week, James Gunn. Okay, since we're talking DC, James Gunn was asked about if he's going to have, if he plans on doing big movie announcements, a big kind of like how the MCU does, here's the next
the next decade or whatever,
the next 10 movies that we're doing, right? And he said, no, because I am not announcing anything until there's an approved script. That is just music to my ears, right? Especially when it comes to comic book movies. Because, what are we at? Year 5 of Blade haven't been announced, and there's
It's been 5 years already?
Pretty sure it's been 5 years.
Wow.
Okay, and it's gone through 7 directors, 5 writers. So, they're thinking of, how cool would it be to bring Blade back, right? But that's it. Whereas you have these, whether it's Maleficent or the Penguin, you know the story you want to tell, right? And now you're figuring out the mechanics and the little stuff in between to tell that story arc, that character arc.
Yeah.
Whereas Sony just is putting stuff out. I don't know what it is.
Whatever that is.
Yeah.
Look, I love this. It really does. You feel the difference when the people have an idea, they've executed on a script, they've in a concept that is clear, that is driven, and they bring it to life. It's really beautiful. I want to talk about Sofia Falcone, played by Christine Milioti. Bro,
she steals the show.
She does, and in fact, I would go back every on a weekly basis, not because of Cobb. I was going back for Sofia.
You were watching this weekly.
I was watching this weekly.
I watched it all the last week before the finale came out.
You did me. You pulled a me.
Is that what you usually do?
That's what I normally do.
Okay. I thought you always watch everything weekly.
No. I usually watch whatever the opening was, and I'll let it be. and then I'll finish out the last little bit.
So what was it about Sofia Falcone that had you coming back every week?
I think that she plays the similar role, this misunderstood character who is trying to take ownership. The difference is that Cobb has years ahead of her, and Sophia's coming into it, right? She's trying to she starts to take, she comes in, she returns. Cobb's caught off guard. We know something happened, but we don't really know until later. We also have this fact that she it was her brother and her who did this drug, and she's then like, hey, how do you know about this? She starts being suspicious of Cobb, right? Because they don't know where. Which I was actually a little sad when when Oswald killed Michael Zegan, who plays Alberto Falcone, who also plays in the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. He's a fantastic character, and honestly, he played this he brings this. Him as a Falcone would have been just glorious to watch. Him playing more of that, but I also was really appreciative that he got his lit up.
Yeah, very quickly.
But and then also having that initial introduction to Alberto, and then having Sofia and that reveal. She also has a really impactful arc. We find out that she was basically left at in Arkham. They basically tortured her. Maybe they wouldn't say torture, but they questionable things.
Yeah.
The fact that she's disrespected, that her own father killed her mother, and that she gets that reveal because we get that in the Batman. Yeah. But that she finds that out. She also tries to take ownership. I love that she goes there, and then she's trying to fight Cobb. Right, this little is it gonna work? Is it not gonna work? Really enjoyed that sort of feel. Also, just think that and I mean, kudos to the costume department. I mean, for making the Penguin Colin Farrell, who is freaking amazing looking man, to look like the Penguin. And you're you have Sophia coming in, standing up next to him, and you're just like,
who's this slob?
Yeah, who's this guy? But also just her overall performance, the way they blocked each scene with her.
Yes,
and her authority, how she filled the room with her body language, her eyes, her presence on screen. Theo Rossi, who plays Dr. Julian Rush, who he wasn't in there a lot, but he's a very strong character.
Let's talk about that for a side note.
Okay.
We can all admit this guy was supposed to be Jonathan Crane. He was supposed to be Scarecrow.
Yes.
And look, if you're watching on YouTube, here is an image of him at his desk, and pretty sure that right there is the Scarecrow hands, the glove, and over here is the mask. He had it on his desk, and so at some point they were like, no, let's change him, but it felt like this guy was supposed to be Jonathan Crane.
Yeah,
Scarecrow. But he was great.
I think that it was a smart move to not have Jonathan.
I think it was smart because I think we as an audience would have been like, ooh, when is he going to put on the mask? When is he going to release the gas or whatever, right?
Yeah. Or what did he do? How does Sophia, help to feed into what he's doing at Arkham, right? To me, I think that they did a really, although, I mean, it's easy. It would be so easy to add so many additional little moments.
Oh yeah.
But I really appreciate that they didn't. And I think the reason, and I also really appreciate that they didn't bring in the Batman.
I'm still, yeah. Okay.
Jury's still out for you. I think I was actually for most of it, I was like, I just really wish the Batman would show up. But I think for me, one, the recognition that this is Cobb's upbringing, so he's not yet the Penguin.
Yeah.
So and Bruce is dealing with the ramification of what he did with the Riddler, right? He's still early in the game too.
Yeah.
Right. So I can kind of see him trying to maybe take a back seat to try to understand like what does the city really need from me. Did I do what is there? So he's kind of like doing who knows. That's my canon in my head.
Sure. And I'm pretty sure he get shot. So he's like recovering.
Yeah, he's recovering.
Yeah.
So and so for me, the other part of this is that like we had too many cooks in the kitchen. Like Cobb, the Penguin. You can easily say you could pass him off. He gets passed off all the time in the actual show.
Yeah.
Right. Like he's just like what's his name? Falcon. Maroney. Clancy Brown plays. Yeah. Him calling him a cockroach too is just like you're just a why do you keep coming back here trying to like make what are you trying to plot? And it's just I think to me the story isn't about Gotham and its crazies.
Yeah,
it's about the mob.
No, you're very right. I think this in someone else's hands, even my own hands, I would have been like, yeah, let's drop all these Easter eggs. Where's Jonathan Crane and whatnot, right? So like, this is a perfect example of like holding back for the sake of the story, right? And like MCU, like Marvel, take notes. Like this is perfect. This is how you do it, right? Going back to Sofia though, like there is something so really very like beautiful about the character that is misunderstood. She's not respected.
Yeah.
There's this stigma, this idea of who she is from her family, not even like society, just from her family, right? And it's the same feelings that everyone has towards us, towards the Penguin. And so like that's why they connect.
Yeah.
And that's why they partner up, because they are two same characters that need one another, right? And it's so well done because we are very intrigued into who she is and her past, and we get little glimpses here and there, right? And it works so well to like continue to push the story forward because you do want her to be successful, right? And when she makes the decision of like, I'm piecing out of here. Like, I don't care. Like, you guys want the crime. You guys want the family business. Have it. And I'm leaving. I think that is just also, it's great to like have that character growth for her. But what really just was like chef's kiss for me was just how she took out the whole family, dude.
Oh,
that was so good.
Crazy scene.
I was like, this is intense. No, Christina did an incredible job. I'm looking forward to see what else comes from her.
Oh.
And not just in the Penguin or in the Batman, but like I'm really curious to see what more we get out of her, and I'm excited to see that.
I haven't watched her. I forgot that she was in The Wolf of Wall Street, and that she was in Fargo. It's been a minute since I watched Fargo, so I don't. Yeah, but she hasn't played many strong. Like, she's more of the female like side.
This is her first like lead role,
sort of like, and she just really slays. Truly slayed. The costume design for her, I like. The haircut style that I felt she did. I love the way she went about. Like, to me, I think her and Colin, I would love to see them in another film together.
Yeah.
Like as Colin, and yeah, just would be really phenomenal. It would be.
Okay, so here's my question to wrap it up. What do you want, or what are your hopes moving forward with the Penguin? With the Penguin, with the Batman, with the Matt Reeves Batman universe, right? So for our listeners who maybe aren't as well versed / as big nerds and geeks as us, so James Gunn is the co-president of DC Studios, and he has launched or is about to launch his cinematic world of those DC characters. However, Matt Reeves, the director of the Batman, obviously has the Batman. The Penguin takes place within that world, and that's considered Elseworlds and not part of James Gunn's DC universe. So, with that said, what do you want or what are you hoping happens? This was they knocked it out of the park here.
Yeah.
Do you want more TV series of characters? Do you want the Penguin back in the Batman sequel? Do you want Sophia back? Like what? Where do you see this going?
So halfway through, I was like, I want another season. But by the end of it, with what we discussed, I was like, this. I'm glad this is done.
Yeah.
I don't want anything more. What I do want is the next Batman. I want it to be well told in like a perspective, like a couple years later, maybe. So I want him in a different like time, like there's been a little bit of a time jump.
Yeah.
Growth on Bruce's in Batman's part, how the whole overall city vibe there. If I were gonna have another show from like this for the series,
and keep in mind there was supposed to be an Arkham show that was in this world, but that got
yeah. I actually was like, that was the thought. I was like, maybe an Arkham series, but I think there's a little too much. Like that one would be a little too hard. I think that really,
or sorry, it wasn't an Arkham. It was a story about Gotham PD.
Oh, like a police thing.
Like a police procedural.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, that would be that's an interesting concept. Taking a more of a police procedural, depicting whatever. That one, I think you'd have to have the Batman. Because like the police, like especially with Gordon, like if you're gonna have Gordon play in, or even like if they do Montoya from the Batman animated series. Anyways, the Arkham Asylum, I think, could maybe play an interesting. I just think like it's too secluded, like it's too like pulled down into. It'd be too. I don't think we'd get what we want from that.
Yeah.
I think that if they're gonna do, if they would do another series, I would want. I don't know. I'm trying to think of another Batman villain. I was gonna say the Riddler, but we had the Riddler in the Batman.
We just had the Riddler, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that for this, it's. I think ultimately I just want the next Batman. It's not coming soon enough. It's ultimately what it comes down to.
They're filming next year.
Next year.
It's
too long, dude.
Too long. Really too long.
Too long.
I've thought about this. I agree with you. I think halfway through I was like, this is really good. Yeah. And like we could do a couple of seasons of this. The way it ended though, I'm just like, no, this is perfect. Like you gave us a beautiful story arc of this character and we got setups and payoffs and a beautiful, well, quote unquote beautiful conclusion to position this character onto the next phase of his journey, right? I don't know that I want more TV shows from this world, from this Batman cinematic world.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think, and Matt Reeves, if you ever watched, what was the last Planet of the Apes movie that he did?
The one before this most recent one. I can't remember his name.
Anyway, he talked a lot how he knew where he wanted the character of Caesar to be when he did the second one. So I like to think that Matt Reeves knows what he wants out of this Batman trilogy or this Batman series. And the Penguin was just a stepping stone into the next thing. And for him, that doesn't mean that, now we're going to do a couple more seasons or different series of other characters. I think what I really want, and I think maybe I shared this with you, I think what I want is the Batman trilogy to just focus on these villains. On the Riddler, we know the Joker's there, right? The Joker, Penguin, Sophia, and Catwoman.
Okay, I was gonna say I feel like it would be really interesting to have a Catwoman series, like that she comes back in like a third film, right? They have a series there. I was trying to think of like other characters. I'm like Bane. I'm like no. I do think you're right. I think that like if we stuck with those characters, like,
and have them like return, right? Like if we find out by the third movie that Joker or Riddler have been manipulating Penguin and Sophia or whatever it is, and like they're like Batman is battling these 4 villains, like rather than introducing. And I know people really want Mr. Freeze as a villain or Clayface, but like if we can just like not scale it, but like keep it to these core characters, we have a beautiful foundation with the Penguin, with the Batman, and have the Riddler come back. We know that like in that deleted scene, Joker was like very heavily made it seem like he was going to take him under his wing, and like hopefully they're going to break out and do something again. I would love for the Riddler to come back. I would love for us to like have the Penguin and this limited gallery of rogues really combining with each other to take out the Batman.
Yeah.
I think that's what I want.
I love that.
Moving forward. And like we have our cards laid out, we have our players. Let's now start continuing to move forward in building this universe.
Do you think Freeze and Clayface should ever make a live action appearance?
Yeah, for sure. I think in which Alan Tudyk was just cast as Clayface in James Gunn's DCU to voice him
in an animated series.
In an animated series, and James has said
that
voice actors are going to play them in live action.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So,
which Creature Commandos comes out in a couple weeks. I'm excited.
Next week. Yeah.
Next week, yeah. I'm excited to jump in the first
DCU.
DC, kind of entity and like see what this new fresh start feels like. I know people are like nerds. The diehards are going to watch it. We're going to watch it.
Yeah.
Other individuals who are only into the movies because of the live action nature and like the Dream Boy, Robert Pattinson's and the Chris Evans of the world and Chris Hemsworth. That's what they go for.
Yeah.
Which is totally fine. But overall, yeah, I think I'm excited for this.
It's a tricky. My concern, and I'll finish with this thought. My concern is that, as always, some executive at Warner Brothers is like, "This was a hit, Matt, go make us more." Right, and now you have that conflict from James Gunn, and this, and I think that's just my concern is that they're gonna learn the wrong lesson here.
Yeah,
and for an executive, it could very well be more means better when that's not the case.
Yeah, I agree.
I think this is these are individuals who have a good idea of where they want the Batman story to end, and they're setting up the pieces right now to get to that point.
I look at the end of the day, I didn't know I wanted a mob series based in Gotham with involving the Penguin, and I'm so glad they did it. Again, huge shout out to Lauren and team. They did absolutely killer job with this series, and I'm just glad that we have it. It's a story well told of a villain that we kind of love, that we kind of liked, but we just all thought about Danny DeVito, and now we have Colin Farrell to give us a live action depiction of who actual Cobblepot is, because he's crafty. He's a crafty son of a gun, and I think that, like you said, I would love to. I think sticking to these core individuals for these 3 having very unique stories, doing what DC does with animated, like telling a really precise story in either in a series or in like a movie for live action, would be like beautiful, which I think they did with the Batman. So we'll find out in a year and a half. Too long?
Longer. That movie won't come out till 2026.
That's freaking insane.
And the first one came out 2021?
Yeah.
Nah, dude, that's not okay.
I know. What are you gonna do, dude? DC's a freaking hot mess.
It is a hot mess.
We're lucky if we even get to the Superman.
We'll get it.
We should have a trailer.
We're gonna have a trailer soon, and we'll do a trailer reaction for that.
So be sure to subscribe. So, anyways, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Reel Chums. Like any episode, please, don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcast, or with us on YouTube. If you like this episode, let us know by leaving us a review or commenting down below, hitting the like button, all the things, because it really does help us get discovered and helps the algorithm do its magic and find people like you.
More importantly, we want to hear from you. What did you like or didn't like about the Penguin? You can always message us on email at reelchums.com or connect with us on any of our socials on Instagram, on Twitter. Where else are we on? Facebook?
Yeah.
At Reel Chums. You can connect with me on Twitter at Marstrosity, MARCTROSITY.
And me, Rubio_TV or Rubio.tv. Join us next week as we discuss the first episode of The Fast and Furious.
Hell no, dude. Actually, I was literally going through my wish list for like a Secret Santa we're doing as a family, and I searched Blu-ray like sets.
And the Fast
and Furious, like all, how many are there? 9?
9.
We're on there for like less than $30.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna send this to Danny. He'll love this.
Okay, I'm just kidding. Okay, sorry.
Look.
No.
When we get to 1,000 subscribers,
Yeah, we'll do it.
We'll do it.
We're gonna hit that 1,000 fast. Okay, stat. Get subscribers stat.
I hate. Backstory: I've only seen the first one, but I hate this franchise. Okay, I hate it.
I absolutely love it.
You love it.
Just absolutely love it. Familia. No. In reality, join us next week as we discuss Twisters. We're gonna finish off season 2 with us visiting the sequel to Twisters, a movie that we did earlier when we look back, getting ready for some of the new movies that were coming out.
Look, all I've heard from this movie is that Glenn Powell is muy caliente.
I mean, he definitely has some great qualities, like a white shirt in the rainy. I'm just kidding.
And the cowboy hat.
In a cowboy. That was legit. Just they were just like, this is for the ladies, dude. It was just he comes out. I'm like, oh, I rolled my eyes so hard. We'll talk about it next week. As we'll see you guys then.
Later, guys.